Shabbat Shalom again. One of my most favorite and most meaningful rituals for me during our Friday evening Kabbalat Shabbat service is to stand next to B'nai Mitzvah when they lead Ve'ahavta. First, it's affirming to see their proud parents and grandparents and all of their family gathered, watching their child stand before the congregation and lead the prayer. It's wonderful, too, to observe the congregation join with the student, knowing that some in attendance, including clergy and teachers, have witnessed the child's growth and development for so many years. Even more so, it's heartwarming to hear B'nai Mitzvah standing on the precipice of Jewish adulthood publicly proclaim, Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, you shall love your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Just as much as I hope B'nai Mitzvah internalize the commandment and choose to live their Judaism with heart and soul, and as one classic commentator interprets, to the utmost in any way that you are able, we all too should hear that prayer as an invitation for us as well. The prayer is our weekly, or for some Jews, daily invitation to fully live our Jewish values and do what Judaism requires of us to the utmost, always. Ve'ahavta is therefore a regular reminder that every decision we make and every action we take, the ways we respond to life, really do matter. More about that in just a moment, but first, let's look at this week's Torah portion, Parshat Vayeshev. The portion begins the well-known Joseph story cycle, which will continue until the very end of the book of Genesis. You know the tale, thanks in part to Tim Rice and Andrew Lloyd Webber. Joseph, the gifted son of Jacob and his beloved Rachel, is hated by his 11 brothers. When Jacob gives Joseph a beautiful coat of many colors, demonstrating Jacob's favoritism, the other brothers decide that they've had enough. They plot to do away with their annoying little brother, Joseph. While they were all together out in the field one day, tending to Jacob's flock, the brothers plot to murder Joseph and throw his body into a pit. But when Reuben, one of Jacob's eldest, heard the plan, he stood up for Joseph, saying, "Let us not strike him a mortal blow." Reuben said to them, "Do not shed blood. Throw him into this pit here in the wilderness, but do not lay a hand against him." Heroic actions, indeed, life-saving, but there's more. The anonymous voice of Torah adds that Reuben's intention was to restore Joseph and eventually be able to bring him back alive to their father Jacob. Thus his plea for the brothers not to kill Joseph, only to toss him into a pit, so when they were done with their fun, Joseph would be returned home. Now you're the midrashists. You're the scholars. What's wrong with what Reuben says versus what actually happens? Real question. He gets sold. He doesn't get returned. You are the midrashists. Reuben doesn't actually do anything. Sure, he stands up for Joseph, momentarily rescuing him from the other brothers, but Reuben doesn't actually do anything in accordance with what the biblical authors perceive to be his motivation, to return Joseph alive to their father. Rather than killing Joseph, the brothers strip him of his coat and throw him into that pit that Reuben pointed out. But then the tribe of passing Ishmaelites purchased Joseph for 20 pieces of silver, a plan that Judah devised with the other brothers' consent. While Reuben was able to stop the brothers from murdering Joseph, he ultimately fails to ensure that Joseph would be returned to Jacob. Remember, that's what Torah suggests was his intention for speaking up in the first place. As the saying goes, talk is cheap. One rabbinic midrash explains, if Reuben sincerely intended to return Joseph to Jacob, then Reuben would have carried Joseph on his shoulder and brought him to his father. He would have actually done something. After all, actions speak much louder than words. Accordingly, our rabbis taught, when a person does a mitzvah, any mitzvah, she should do it with her whole heart, with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might, a whole self-approach to living life according to the tenets of our faith. In his essay Against Half-Heartedness, Rabbi Shai Held asks, why is it so hard to respond to life with everything we have? Rabbi Held goes on to respond to his own question by citing the work of a great Musar master, Rabbi Yerucham Levovitz, explaining, our problem is that we don't believe that every single action we take really matters. We forget or fail to internalize in the first place that there is, in this master's words, eternity in every action, however seemingly minor. This, the Musar master argues, is the source of our deepest spiritual and interpersonal failings. The whole of Torah testifies to and teaches this foundation, the enormous significance of even one action. And if we don't live with the awareness that any one of our actions can reach all the way to heaven, what hope do we have? Because this is the very essence. Now, I understand that I am preaching to the choir. Those who have showed up on Friday night and do so many Friday evenings throughout the year to celebrate Shabbat, as well as everybody who is joining us that views our archived service later, and even those who actually watch our weekly message in our Wednesday e-blast. Who does that? Yeah, the choir. Or you, Shannon, who has chosen a path of study and practice, and now tonight publicly marked entering this Jewish community as a Jew in your own right. You are an exemplar for all of us. I also know that each of us, me included, has room to grow our practice, our observance, our learning, that process of rededicating ourselves to our soul work each and every day, not just on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Not only are we reminded to take on Jewish living with our whole selves in this week's Torah portion and in our regular recitation of Ve'ahavta, but we are just days before the Jewish holiday of Chanukah, which means dedication. The holiday invites us to rededicate ourselves every year to our practice, to live up to the bravery of Judah Maccabee and the others who have lived to defend their faith, to do all that we can to participate, and to model the beauty of our tradition for ourselves and for others. As Hanukkah invites, we are to share the light of our Hanukkah menorah with the world. Hanukkah lights are not for studying, cooking, or even for our own enjoyment. Rather, we're instructed to light the menorah in the window for the purpose of Pirsum Hanes, to publicize the mitzvah, the miracle that the candles represent for passersby to see. Literally shining a light into the world, demonstrating our commitment to joyful, productive, empowering Jewish life. As Rabbi Held concludes in his essay, Judaism is a religion, and it is a religious imperative to believe in our ability to act and to impact the world in significant ways. We are obliged to recognize that the moment and the task before us, no matter how seemingly trivial, matter, and matter ultimately. Ken Yehiratzon, may our actions merit that coming true. Shabbat Shalom.